my name's Rachel, and today I thought I would start the week with a really nice, happy, light video and talk about one of my favourite things in the world, books. Start this video off on a nice, happy note. I just want to say, screw this book! Screw it! So, yesterday I was having what me and Dan call a bit of a grackle day. And grackle comes from, so my name is Rachel, but as like a kind of nickname he calls me Rackle, and then when I'm feeling sad and down he calls me Grackle. That's how we get there. Basically I was having a bit of a grackle day. I was feeling down and I was in a pretty bad mood and I was like, So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna curl up in my comfy chair with a blanket and one of my cuddly toys, and I'm gonna read a book all day. And the book I picked up was this, which is Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And I've been wanting to read this book for so long. I've like started it a couple of times but never really got into it for some reason. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read it. And it's basically an origin story for the Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And me being the idiot I am, I didn't think, well, the Queen of Hearts is quite an unhappy character. Maybe something bad happened to her in the past. Instead I was like, oh look, Alice in Wonderland is one of my favourite books. I love retellings of Alice in Wonderland and fairy tales and other fantasy books. This'll be great. It wasn't great. I mean, okay, it was great. And I really liked the writing style. I really liked the story. I loved the characters. I got really invested in it. And then at 1 a.m, when I'm finishing the book in the last chapters, I was just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And I was like, no, I don't want the man to die. And he was all like, oh, it's okay, Rackle. And he cuddled me, and then he was like, okay, let's just take the book away and pretend it has a happy ending. I was like, no, I've got to read to the end in case it does have a happy ending. And I read to the end, and it doesn't have a happy ending. And then I threw the book across the bedroom and cried. So, if you want to read a good book, you could try this. If you want to read a happy book, screw this book, never read it. I'm sorry, book, you okay? It's okay. Next up, we're going to talk about some books that surprised me. And these are by an author called Erica Spindler. So these were just two cheap crime fiction books I picked up from a local bookshop for like £2 each. I love my crime fiction like a lot. One of the reasons why is that it always has a happy ending because the bad guy gets caught. I'm still bitter about that book. Yeah, so anyway, I find that there's quite a lot of variation in the quality of crime fiction. I had no idea what to expect when I picked these up. Turns out they're pretty fantastic. This one is basically about a kind of cult and killings and a serial killer, and this one is about a serial killer and copycat killings. They're both pretty dark, they're both pretty horrific in their content in that respect, but at the same time, the bad guys get caught and it's all good in the end. And I mean, they're not works of art, they're nothing overly special, but I just found them really entertaining, really fun to read, and I'm definitely keen to read more by this author because I just really liked these. So these were a nice little surprise for me this week. Next up, we're moving on to genuinely happy stuff, and I want to tell you all about one of my favourite bookshops here in London. Now, there's a little shop in Greenwich called Halcyon Books. They also have another branch in Lewisham, but I've not actually been to that shop. But the one in Greenwich is amazing. It's like an Aladdin's cave of books. It's a book lover's heaven, basically. We're talking about, it's all second-hand books, but they're just piled up on the shelves, piled to the ceilings. There's stacks of books on the floor, and there's no organisation. You just search through and find all these incredible books. And the best thing is, they're like £1 each, literally £1 each. I don't know much about conversion rates, but I think in America that's maybe like 70 cents or something like that. I might be wrong. Basically, the point is, hella cheap books, and it's just so much fun searching through and finding books. So every couple of months or so, basically whenever I've got a little bit of spare money, I just take £10 with me and I just go and search through the books and have a little bit of fun and see what I can find. And I went this weekend and came back with 9 new books, some of which have been on my wish list for so long, and I'm so happy I got them. And I'm especially happy that I got all of these for £9. How incredible is that? So a quick run through of the books I got. Lots and lots of very varied books, lots of different topics, lots of different genres. The first one I got is a book about Bedlam, London and It's Mad. And it's about Bethlehem Hospital, also known as Bedlam, which is the world's oldest psychiatric hospital, founded in 1247. I just think this sounds absolutely fantastic. I'm really into history and also especially like the dark kind of twisted sides of history, and I find kind of old psychiatric hospitals and the way they used to treat patients is one of the most terrifying things I find. So I find reading about the actual history of it really, really fascinating, which is why I'm so keen to read this. Next up, we got a book that you guys have recommended to me a lot and that has been on my wish list forever, which is Christopher Hitchens' God Is Not Great. I got a slightly older, more battered copy so that I can scribble my way through it and make notes and highlight things, because I always feel bad doing that to nice pretty books, but when it's a slightly older book I kind of don't mind doing it, and it does help me learn a lot more and take in a lot more of the information, so I find that really useful. Next up, I got a little book that I've not heard of before. This is a fiction book called The Lover's Path. But what I really like about this is that it's all kind of like illustrated, and it all has these little kind of like pop out bits and lots of little things like little letters to read and stuff. And I've never heard of this book before. I knew nothing about it, but I just saw it. I thought it was really, really cute, and I'm actually really, really keen to read it. It reminds me of, like, you know, children's books and pop-up books and lift the flap books and all those fun things you had as a kid. It reminds me of that, but a grown-up version, so I'm very keen to read that. Next up, I got a book that most of you probably won't be interested in, but that has been on my wish list for so long, which is Pretty Honest by Sally Hughes. It's basically a book about beauty and makeup and fashion and style, and it's just very, you know, kind of brutally honest. It doesn't hide anything, it doesn't pretend to be anything it's not. It's just lots of nice, useful advice just told to you. So I'm really keen to read this. I've read a few bits already and it's just a fantastically useful book and I love it. I mean, you guys probably know that I love my makeup and my clothes and playing around with pretty makeup and wearing different things, and you know, I love it all. It's quite girly, but I love it. Next up is a little kind of sciencey psychology kind of book called Happiness by Design by Paul Dolan. I've been wanting to read this book since it came out, and I'm very, very excited to finally read it. It's about finding pleasure and purpose in everyday life, and it's basically, you know, about the science of happiness and stuff and how to be happy, and it just sounds like quite a fun, interesting little read, so I'm keen to read that. Next up is a book that again has been on my wish list for literally years, and that is Sophie's World by Justine Garda. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Basically, it is described as the history of philosophy pretending to be a novel, and I'm just very, very excited to read this. I've heard some fantastic things about it and I cannot wait. And finally, I got this little book on data and facts and science called Facts Are Sacred by Simon Rogers. He's really great at doing these really kind of interesting, cool infographics, and basically it talks a lot about data science and analytics and just the world and money and politics, and it's lots and lots of interesting things, and I'm just really excited to read this. So yeah, now I've got a big pile of new books here which I'm very excited to read through. I cannot recommend Halcyon Books enough. If you live in London or you're near London or you come to visit London, definitely go give it a visit because it's incredible and it's fun and it's like, it is my heaven inside there. It's like being in a dream where you can just walk around and just pick up books and just, oh, I love it. I love it! I swear this isn't like a sponsored video, even though it sounds like it. I'm just like a little bit in love with this shop. I discovered it maybe 2 months after we'd moved here, I think. We were out for me and Dan, we were out for drinks one night with some of his friends from uni, and we got the bus back home, which is a route that we don't normally take because we normally get the train or DLR or whatever. But we got the bus back home and we went past it on the bookshop, and there was a big sign in the window saying like, books, £1 each, and I was like, Daniel, there's cheap books. So the next day I hopped back on the bus and tried to find it because we had no idea where it was. I just saw it out the bus window, so I just basically went along the bus route until I found it, and it turns out it's in Greenwich. And yeah, I've been going there once a month or once every couple of months ever since, and picking up a few books at a time. I swear my book collection has like doubled since I discovered it, and Dan is not very happy, but I'm sure he'll get over it because he's a lovely person and he knows that my books make me happy. But anyway, that was just a quick video today. I wanted something happy, I wanted something light, I wanted something fun, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are. If you've read any of the books that I mentioned today, has a book ever made you cry like it made me cry? Seriously, we're talking ugly tears and everything. It was bad. I don't know how Dan puts up with me, bless him. But yeah, let me know. Also, let me know your book recommendations for me, because I love hearing that. You guys have read some pretty interesting stuff. Seriously, my wish list and my book reading list is just growing and growing, and it's amazing. I love it. But for now, I'm going to end this here. If you've made it through this far, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, so I will get a warm, fuzzy feeling in my tummy, be very happy, and I'll love you forever. But for now, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you again soon.